now I'm going to go to my camera. Oh wait, I have to present because I dropped off the meeting. My entire screen share. All right, so here I go to the document camera. Okay, I'm ready to start the lesson. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so this is our welcome back lesson, warm up on Vertex form of quadratic functions. So everything you kind of have to remember about Vertex form to get through this week. Our learning goals, we can draw a parabola given its equation in Vertex form. And I can determine the equation of a parabola in Vertex form given its graph. Okay, so recall from before the holiday, the equation of a parabola in Vertex form is y equals ax minus h squared plus k. And this is the graphing friendliest format, because then we can see that the vertex is hk. So that's the point of the vertex, and the step number is a. So our first question, make a sketch of each parabola, identify the vertex, step pattern, and the equation of the axis of symmetry, and either the maximum or the minimum value. So this one's in vertex form. And remember, we're matching this equation up with this format here. So if there's a minus in the formula, then the h value is just +4. So the vertex should be +4, -5. So then you would plot that vertex, 1, 2, 3, 4, on your printed out sheet or your graph paper, if that's what you're using. And then the a value for us is 2. It's positive, so that means up. And remember, the a value worked like this. It was always 1 times a, 3 times a, 5 times a, etc. So in our case, 1 times 2 is 2, 3 times 2 is 6, and 5 times 2 is 10. So that 2 step number means up to 6 and 10. So from my vertex, I would go over 1 up 2, over 1 up 6, and over 1 up 10, which doesn't fit on. So then let's read the question. We've got the parabola drawn. Make a sketch, identify the vertex, which we did, the step pattern, which we did, the equation of the axis of symmetry. So the axis of symmetry is the vertical line that goes right through the vertex. And it's got the equation x equals whatever the x coordinate of the vertex is, x equals h, in other words, so x equals 4. And then either a maximum or minimum value. So you can see on the graph, this one has a minimum value right here. It never gets lower than this point here. It never goes down here. So a minimum of whatever the y coordinate of the vertex is. So in this case, the minimum value is -5. All right, so if you remembered all that, that's great. If you're a bit fuzzy, hopefully it's bringing back some memories of vertex form. All right, so the next question, y equals negative. x plus 3 squared plus 5. So the vertex should be, because there's a positive sign here, but a negative one in the general formula, the only way would have been if it was minus negative 3. So the vertex is at an x value of negative 3 and a y value of positive 5. So we're going to plot our vertex, negative 3, positive 5. And our step number is this negative 1 out front, which is going to mean down because it's negative. And because it's a 1, 1, 3, 5. So from here, we're going to go over 1, down 1, over 1, down 3, over 1, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I can't quite fit 7 on. And try to join your parabola with a smooth curve. And then go through all the things we needed to write down. We wrote down our vertex. We wrote down our step pattern. Equation of axis of symmetry. Here's my axis of symmetry, right through the vertex vertical line. And the equation is x equals negative 3. And a maximum or a minimum. This one has a maximum, so it never gets higher than the vertex. So a maximum value of positive 5 never gets higher than positive 5. Okay. Another one. So for C, y equals a half x squared minus 5. So remember that the general format is this. So if you don't see brackets with an h, you know the h is 0. You could also exaggerate x squared and write it as x minus 0 squared to convince yourself x minus 0 is just x. So these are the equivalent. Either way, you should figure out from that that the vertex would be 0, negative 5. So that means the vertex is right on the y-axis, right here. And then the half out front is the step number. It's positive, so it's going to be up a half, because that's 1 times a half. 3 times a half is 1.5. 5 times a half is 2.5. And then it's easy to see the pattern if we have room. So from our vertex, we're going to go over 1, up 0.5 on both sides. So that puts us in a halfway. Over 1, up 1.5. Over 1, up 2.5. Over 1, up 1, 2, 3.5. One, 2, 3, 4.5. So there you should have your points. Every other one hits a corner when we're doing the 0.5s. This is a good check for you. Once you're convinced you've got your points drawn in properly, try to join them with a smooth curve. Arrows on the ends. And then we've got our vertex, we've got our step pattern. We can draw in the axis of symmetry, which is the y-axis in this case. which has the equation x equals 0. X equals the x coordinate of the vertex. This one has a minimum again. A minimum. So it never gets lower than -5. A minimum of -5. Okay, so that's question 1. Make a sketch of each parabola. So we're just from vertex form here. Identify the vertex, step pattern, and equation of axis of symmetry, maximum or minimum value. Oh, we've got 2 more to go. D, y equals x plus 1 squared minus 6. So you should be able to tell the vertex is at -1, -6. And the step pattern is there's just a 1 there, so it's up 1, 3, 5. And in this time, I think I have room for the 7 afterwards. Yep. So then I can sketch my parabola in. Draw in the axis of symmetry. Which is x equals -1. And again, I have a minimum. So minimum, you never get lower than -6. And now the last one of question 1. This one has a vertex, so there is brackets, so the h coordinate of the vertex is -4, but there's no plus or minus anything outside, there's no k value, so that means the k value is 0. So the vertex is at -4, 0, which is right on the x-axis this time. And the step number is -2, which means down 2, 6, 10. So there's our picture. You can't fit the 10 on. We need to draw in our axis of symmetry and its equation. X equals -4. And this one has a maximum because it's upside down, never gets higher. So it has a maximum value of 0. It never gets higher than 0. It's never up here at all. All right, so that was a good recap of drawing a parabola in vertex form. So that was everything we needed to know about vertex form, how to get the vertex, how to apply the step number, what the equation of the axis of symmetry is, and whether we have a maximum or minimum value and what it is. Okay, so now question 2. We're determining the equation in vertex form by determining A, H, and K from the graph. So we'll look at A first. So if we know the vertex, we know H and K. So I would look at what my vertex was, and then I know that's going to represent H and K. So my vertex is at -2, -7. So I know that H is -2 and K is -7. And then to get the A value, well, I know A is going to be positive because I'm opening upwards. So I would always start off, you want to go over 1 and see if you go up and where you land. So over 1, up 1 should mean that A is going to be +1, but if I just want to check again, over 1, up 1, 2, 3, yes, that works. Over 1, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yep. So A is just +1. So once you know A, H, and K, you want to take the general formula for a parabola in vertex form, and then just substitute in your values of A, H, and K. So because A is a 1, I don't need to write it down. I can just leave it because there's a 1 understood to be out front of the bracket. X minus from the formula, but H is -2 squared minus 7. But if you gave that answer, it wouldn't be considered simplified. So when you have X minus -2, it's the same as X plus 2. When you subtract a negative, you add. And don't forget the squared, that's what makes it a parabola from your general form. So the equation of this parabola would be y equals x plus 2 squared minus 7. Okay, so same idea for the next one. We'll figure out the coordinates of the vertex first. So the vertex is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 7. So that means our H is 4 and our K is 7. We know that A is going to be negative something because it's opening downward. So here's my vertex. If I go over 1, it looks like I'm going down 2. But if I want to test it out again, then if I go over 1, I should be going down 6 to my next point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. So that means my A value is -2. So then I just take my general formula and substitute in A, H, and K. So A is -2. X minus H is +4 squared plus 7 is K. So that's the equation of this parabola. For C, continue. So same idea. First, figure out the coordinates of the vertex. So the vertex is at 2, 0. Step number, oops, put this in the screen here. Vertex is at 2, 0. So we go over 1. I'm going to guess that's up a half, but if that's true, I definitely should test that one. So if I go over 1 again, I should go up 1.5, which looks good. And then if I go over 1 again, I should go up 1, 2.5. Yep. Over 1 again, up 1, 2, 3.5. Yes. Okay, so we're convinced A is +0.5. So then I just take my general formula and substitute in A, H, and K. And then K would be +0, but I don't need to show that, so I would just erase it. So the vertex form. Is there a question? Everyone's good? Okay. The vertex form for that one would just be y equals 1/2 x minus 2 all squared. For D, find out the coordinates of the vertex. So it's at -1, 6. The A value, we know it's negative. So it looks like over 1 down 1. So if that's true, then the next step should be over 1 down 3. Yep. Over 1 down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So our A value is -1. And then once you know A, H, and K, you can just sub them into the general formula. So it's going to be x minus -1 all squared plus 6. If you guys realize that that's just x plus 1, you don't need to show another step here. You can just go straight to -x plus 1 squared plus 6. Okay. All right. And then we're going to end off this refresher with our chart. So just looking at the equation, not looking at the graph, we should be able to tell what the vertex of each one of these is, the equation of the axis of symmetry, whether it has a maximum or minimum, and what the maximum or minimum value is. So we're going to do the vertex column first. Can someone unmute themselves and tell me what the vertex of the first one is?
5 and 11.
Yep, awesome. Vertex of the second one, someone?
0, 2.
Yep. Vertex of the third one, somebody?
-3, -4.
You got it. Third one, or fourth one, sorry.
Is it -7, 0?
It is. And the last one.
1, -3.
You got it. Okay, way to go, guys. Equation of the axis of symmetry. So it's always going to be x equals the h coordinate of the vertex. So that's really easy to do once you've got the vertex, as long as you remember that's what it is. If you want to write up here, x equals h. So x equals 5, x equals 0, x equals -3, x equals -7, and x equals 1. So that's an important thing to know when you're asked for the equation of the axis of symmetry. If you remember it's x equals h, it's really easy to write down. Okay, who remembers how to know whether, just from the equation, whether it has a maximum or a minimum? Anyone? Unmute yourself if you remember.
If it's positive or not.
Yeah, so if the A value is positive, you have a minimum. And if the A value is negative, you have a maximum. Okay? So in this case, the A value is negative, which means it looks like that. That's how we know it's got a maximum. So this one has a max. A value is positive, so we know it's opening upward, so it's got a min. A value is positive, it's a +1, opens upward, has a min. A value is negative, so it opens upside down, so it's going to have a max. A value is positive, so it's going to have a min. Okay, so this only has to do with whether the A value is positive or negative. So maximum, it looks like this. Minimum, it looks like this. Okay. And then who remembers how to know the maximum or minimum value without drawing the graph?
It's K.
It's the K, perfect. So here's my Ks are all here, the second coordinates. So the maximum value is 11, or right here. Minimum value is 2. Minimum value is -4. Maximum value is 0. Minimum value is -3. Okay. So I'm going to go back to just our regular view now. If I can remember how. Okay, I do remember. So this goes to reduce display, minimize this. Then I'm going to stop recording.